Hi friends, I'm back. It's Thursday night, a little after 8 o'clock. I think it's 8:15. And I'm back to talk about the fourth pillar of the four pillars of living a passionate life. So we've talked about compassion and how that's a necessary part of living a passionate life, having compassion for other people. We talked about gratitude and coming from a place of feeling that we are enough and that we have enough in pursuing our dreams and our passions, so that we're not coming from a place of scarcity and desperation. So we're more likely to have a joyful journey following our dreams if we already feel that we have enough and we are enough. And the third pillar that we discussed was last week, was the fun one, talking about, they're all magical, but the last week was talking about breaking out of our cocoon to allow ourselves to dream. And we can do that no matter our age. And now this week, I want to talk a little bit about generosity. And so I did receive a question right after the last radio program on Sunday night, asking me what the difference is between compassion and generosity. And they definitely overlap. So compassion is an emotion. It's a feeling. It literally means suffering with. So when we see someone in pain, we can feel their pain and we want to do something about it. We want to help to take some of the pain away. And that's when it can motivate us to be generous. Generous of spirit, showing kindness, and actually giving of ourselves, maybe volunteering or giving money or giving clothing to somebody who's homeless. So the generosity is the behavior, while the compassion is the feeling. But it is possible to have one without the other. Sometimes we feel compassionate, but we are too fearful and have too much of that scarcity mindset to be generous. So we feel the compassion, we feel the pain, but we don't act on it in a generous way. So it can be separate in that way. But also generosity can also happen without having that feeling of compassion. There are things that you can do. You can decide that you want to commit random acts of kindness where you don't even know who you're helping. And so you don't feel their suffering. You don't feel the compassion, but you still act generously. So for example, when Andy Smallman was on my radio program from kindliving.net, he talked about different games to increase kindness. And one of them was to give a certain amount of money to the local library and tell the librarian this will cover the late fees for the next few people that return late books until this money runs out. So obviously that doesn't have the component of compassion, because you haven't met the person who is benefiting from the generosity, and they may not really need that money, but you're doing it because it's something generous and you want to commit acts of kindness. But by doing generous acts of kindness, or showing generosity of spirit by being kind to somebody, being smiling at someone, listening to them when they have a problem, that can actually increase our feeling of compassion. So compassion, the feeling of compassion, can generate generosity, and the behavior of generosity can actually elicit from us a feeling of compassion if we don't already have it. So that's actually a good exercise in increasing your own compassion, is by making a decision to act in generous ways. So we can be generous by volunteering our time. We can be generous by donating food or money or books or clothing, making any sort of donation. And we can be generous of spirit by just listening to someone who needs to have an ear or a shoulder to lean on, smiling, making a decision that we're going to be kind to every person that we meet on the street, opening doors. So that's generosity of spirit. And I include this as one of the pillars for living a passionate life. And each one of these pillars we really cannot do without if we want to truly have a sustainable, passionate life. Because generosity is magical. There are so many magical things that can happen from being generous. And in it specifically, being generous without expecting anything in return. So as soon as we start to have expectations that we want that person to pay us back in some way, or say thank you, or that they should use our gift in the way that we think that they should use the gift, and we become disappointed if they don't, as soon as we do that, we have taken away the benefit of generosity for ourselves. We've lost the magic. If you're going to give money to somebody on the street who is, holding a sign saying that they can't afford a cup of coffee, and you give them money specifically hoping they'll buy a cup of coffee, you can't then go following that person to see if that's really what they're using it for, because as soon as you do that, you have ruined the whole magical feeling of generosity and that whole exchange of energy. When you give to somebody generously, they feel a magic. They feel that somebody cares, and that can change their life. But you don't really know if you don't know that person. But what you do know is that magical feeling that you have when you give to somebody. So there have been a lot of studies about the health benefits of giving generously, and those health benefits are actually triggered by this magical effect. And when I say magical, I mean the instant release of chemicals, the endorphins in our brain that go through our body and help to increase our mood and decrease pain. So when we give generously, when we volunteer, we actually have an increase of these endorphins. And so there was a study with older adults, seniors who were volunteering, and they found that those volunteers had less pain and better sleep at night. And that was because of the release of the endorphins, as well as because of the increase of serotonin that they were experiencing. So by having that feeling of meaning and purpose that comes about from being generous, it actually increases serotonin in our brain, that neurotransmitter, the brain chemical that modulates mood, that helps us to feel happier and helps us to sleep better. And there was a study that was performed where the subjects of the study watched videos of Mother Teresa in all of her kind and generous acts. They just watched it on video. And what they found was those people watching it on video had the same effects as someone who was actually performing acts of kindness. One of those effects physically and health-wise was the increase of immunoglobulin A, which is our natural disease-fighting chemical that protects us. So we have decreased chance of disease, we have increased mood, increased sleep, lower level of depression, all of those things that help us to live a more vital, happier, joyful life, which is part of living the passionate journey. And there's another part to observing generous acts, and a researcher called Dr. Haidt, and I believe I have it here where he was located. Where's Dr. Haidt? I don't know, but he did a study where he found what was called elevation. So when we watch other people commit acts of kindness, we have a reaction of elevation. And what that is a feeling of our heart opening, a feeling of warmth and tingling feeling very full, joyful, feeling that our chest is full, and we have the motivation to commit acts of kindness because of what we've observed and what we feel from it. So by doing kind acts, by acting kind to other people, we help that person, obviously, through our kindness. We help ourselves through that magical feeling and the release of all of those wonderful chemicals that help our health and our mood. And we help other people who are observing this to have a magical reaction, to have this feeling of elevation. And I know I've experienced it, and I know that you, my friends, have all experienced it, because that's the feeling that we have when we watch all those videos on Facebook or social media where we observe people doing kind things and we feel choked up and really happy, and it makes our day just to watch that in a video. And I'm sure that you have experienced this, where you then feel motivated to do something kind for somebody else. So this is a way to really change the world, so we can heal our own lives and make a difference in healing the world with one kind act at a time. Okay, so that's the generosity pillar of these 4 pillars of living a passionate life. And then, of course, we have to take care of ourselves, and that is the foundation. Those are the bricks of the foundation. Self-care of our mind, so challenging negative self-talk, self-sabotaging things that we say to ourselves, not allowing other people's criticism to cause us to become down and give up on our dreams. So not taking things personally, being able to forgive other people, spending time just relaxing and slowing down our minds through meditation or taking a walk in nature, just taking a break, doing something really relaxing. So that's self-care of the mind, and then self-care of the body, which of course eating the right food and watching what we drink, sleeping, getting enough sleep, not trying to burn the candle at both ends, which is a really common thing. I'm guilty of it myself, but I feel much better. I'm in a happier mood. I'm more ready to follow my dreams when I've had a good night of sleep, and I'm sure that you feel the same way. And exercising, moving our body, because our body really wants to move. And when we move our body, it keeps us healthy, and it also puts us in a better mood, brings us more energy. So this is really important. This, following the passionate life, living a passionate life, is a very holistic journey. We can't just pick one thing that we're going to do to live a passionate life and not take care of every other aspect of our lives and expect that we're going to be successful at being able to sustain a joyful life and sustain a passionate life where we're following our dreams. We need to have the energy to follow our dreams, and we need to have the state of mind of joy, because it's not about achieving a dream. This isn't about winning the race. This is about the joy of the journey. Because if we're going to be here on earth, we want to enjoy every valuable minute of it. We want to enjoy the journey. Once you reach the finish line of whatever goal you have, it doesn't mean that you live happily ever after. So being able to enjoy the journey, reaching your goals, making new goals, and enjoying that journey, that's what this is all about. And when you do that, the chances are you're going to have a longer life, and you're going to enjoy your life, better relationships and better health and more vitality and joy. So as I've been talking about every week when I do these Facebook Lives, is that I've been on a 40-day meditation challenge to see how I would feel making it a point to meditate every day. So just maybe 9 minutes or 18 minutes. That's what I've increased it to. I'm not always successful. I'm not always able to get into the zone where I feel like, wow, I was able to really slow down my thoughts. But I always feel more centered for having shown up. So just showing up makes a difference. And if I have gotten just a minute out of that 18 minutes where I felt, wow, I wasn't thinking very much. I was not having my mind jump around like what they call monkey mind, then I was successful. So just show up. If you join me on this, I'd really love to hear your experience. I said that I would do it for 40 days, but I'm going to continue. I'm almost at the 40 days, and I will continue because this has made a big difference in my life. I've skipped a couple of days, and the days that I've skipped, I haven't slept as well. I didn't feel as centered, and I had more difficulty shifting from the analytic work that I do, where I have to write reports in a jargon type of wording, to being more creative. When I meditate, I'm able to make that shift a lot more easily. I'm able to focus better, and the ideas and inspirations come to mind a lot more easily. A lot of times when I'm meditating, when things have really slowed down, I will suddenly get an idea, and I try to put it aside so that I don't keep thinking about it and make the mistake of having that be my focus rather than meditation. But the ideas that I've come up with when I'm meditating usually are the best ones. So people feel guilty taking the time to meditate, but this is really important. It's all part of the process of meditating, it's all part of the process of being creative. And I'm being watched. If I don't respond, it's because I can't see the phone. I'm too far from the phone, and even with my glasses on, I can't see that far. So I think I've covered everything, and I just want to again invite you, if you begin this journey of making a challenge of meditating every day for 40 days, let's say, then I'd really like to hear from you and hear about your experiences. So send me a message on Facebook or send me an email to Dr. Mara at drmarakarpel.com, and let me know if I can talk about it here when I'm back here on Facebook Live or on my radio program. So on this Sunday's radio program, we have two psychologists in New York who are going to be talking about their book, Awaken Love, and I think it'll be a really interesting conversation. We're also going to have the co-founder of S&F Athletics up in Irving, Texas, talking about their program to help children to stay on track with their education and their focus and following their dreams. And I have a blog coming out very soon, so you can keep up with all of that right here on my Facebook page and on my website, drmarakarpel.com. But pretty much everything is here on Facebook that you need to see. So be sure to do that. My book, which you can see, the letters are backwards because that's what it does here on Facebook Live, but that's available for purchase on my website, drmarakarpel.com, and also on Amazon. And if you can buy it on Kindle on Amazon or soft cover, but if you buy it directly from me on my website, it's a little less expensive. So you might want to do it that way. I'm coming along on getting the course ready, Living the Passionate Life, and I will keep you updated about when that's available. And I think that's it. So thank you for joining me this evening, and I'm going to be back next Thursday at 8 p.m. or a little after, and I'll talk about more about living your passionate life. So thank you.